Hi guys, I hope you're all well. It's currently Monday the 8th of January 2018 and yes, we are still in Adelaide. However, we are having to check out of our hotel this morning because we are making our way onto our next destination on this holiday. So we're just making our way down to reception to check out and just wait 5 or 10 minutes for our car to come and collect us and take us to Adelaide Airport, where we're going to be making our way over to Alice Springs. It was another quick trip from our hotel to the airport, and it was just a case of doing the normal checking in our luggage and then making our way over towards our gate. So after sitting around at the gate for an hour or so, it was then time to start boarding our aircraft, and because we were sat at the rear of the aircraft, our seats were the first to be called for boarding. So it's a stroll right to the back of the plane and then just put our hand luggage into the overhead compartment and then just make ourselves comfortable, and then it's just a case of me getting into my seat and fastening my seatbelt, which we all know can be a bit problematic, and I nearly always, 99.9% of the time, have to have an extension belt. And it was a little bit fiddly, but I got there in the end, ready for, of course, our takeoff from Adelaide over towards Alice Springs. And I am going to let you enjoy this moment of the takeoff. Who doesn't enjoy this? And after about 30 minutes flying, we were then given a little snack, a little bit of cake to enjoy. And as soon as we finished consuming that, we decided to have pasta time by playing a game of travelling cards. And I had to start off by shuffling the deck. And thankfully the first game did go my way and I managed to get rid of all of my cards and win the hand. And unfortunately my winning streak didn't last and my mum managed to pull quite a few hands back, and as always she was as humble as ever on her win, on her victory, and didn't rub it in whatsoever. And after playing cards for the past hour, it was then time to make our descent into Alice Springs Airport. And of course, I'm not going to deny you all of that experience, so you can see it all and experience it for yourselves in the footage that I'm showing you. Once we'd landed at Alice Springs, it was then time for us to make our way off the aircraft, and as soon as we got outside, boy oh boy did we feel that temperature change from an air-conditioned cabin to the sweltering heat of the outback. Gosh, Stroop, that's hot. Hot, 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 hot. And it was a relatively short walk, about 5 minutes to get into the airport terminal, where we were just basically hanging around waiting to collect our luggage. Once we collected our luggage, we then made our way outside towards the bus that was waiting for everybody, which would then drop each individuals at their designated hotels. And the hotel we were stopping at was the Mercure. Our stay in Alice Springs is just the one night stay, and you know what that means, because we are in a new destination, it means there's a whole new room tour. Once we found our room, we made our way in. So as you can see, it's a relatively basic room. You got your bed, you got your TV, you got your table and chairs, and as you can see, we've got a view of the outback, and this view is certainly a lot better than the view we had at our hotel in Adelaide, which basically just looked onto the back street. So let's continue this tour. We've got cupboards, kettle for making coffee and tea, and the bathroom, which is very basic, but like I said, we're only here for the one night. light. And inside the cupboard you've got an ironing board, an iron and a safe, and we've got ourselves a fridge. So you've got the usual amenities, what you'd expect to see in a hotel room. And basically after being in our room about 20 minutes, we realised we did have to make our way over towards the main hotel entrance or reception area, because we had booked an excursion to take us straight out and see some of the local sites around Alice Springs. So it's a relatively quick stop. It's just basically throw our luggage into the hotel room and then make ourselves ready for the excursion. And to be honest, we almost completely forgot that we had booked the excursion. Our first stop on our excursion was the Alice Springs School of the Air. Now this facility is purely for education of children. Now the main difference between a normal school and this building is all the lessons are done wirelessly. So there's a studio centre inside this building where lessons are performed and the children are watching the lessons on their computers at home in the outback. So it's for isolated communities. After finishing our tour of the School of the Air, we then made our way over to our second stop, which was the Alice Springs Telegraph Station Historic Reserve. And this telegraph station was the first white settlement in Central Australia. And between 1870 and 1872, this is when the telegraph line was strung 3,000 kilometres across Australia, making this station Australia's only connection with the rest of the world. So you could walk in and out of the buildings on the settlement and again learn more about the history of the place. And after our whistle-stop tour of the historical Telegraph Reserve, we then made our way over to our third stop, which was the Royal Flying Doctors Service. So just like our first stop, where it was all about educating children across the outback of Australia for those isolated pockets of people, the Royal Flying Doctors Service is also here to support on medical needs. So in the medical emergencies, fly them to the nearest hospital. After our flying visit to the Royal Flying Doctors Service, we then made our way over to our fourth stop of the day, which was the Alice Springs Reptile Centre, where we got an opportunity to see and handle more of the reptiles of the local area, where our education into the reptiles found in Australia continued, talking about the venomous snakes found in Australia, the lizards, and of course crocodiles. In particular, on this occasion we were introduced to a saltwater crocodile and we were given the do's and don'ts of what to do if you ever come near water sources in the Northern Territories. So the thing what stood out from this lesson is basically, in a nutshell, make sure you're stood at least 10 or 12 feet away from any water source if you're in the Northern Territories, because otherwise a croc can strike and you'll be a goner. The animal caretaker was just cleaning out the pool, removing all of the crocodile's solid urine because it can affect the quality of the water, and at the same time is just demonstrating how crocodiles are ambush creatures and how little it takes for them to be able to grab hold of you and just drown you. After our fascinating and very educational stop at the Reptile Centre, we then made our way over to our final stop of the day, which was the Anzac Hill, which is a war memorial which overlooks Alice Springs, which gives you great panoramic views of across the town. And after we had some time to reflect, we then made our way back to our hotel, where we went into the restaurant, had something to eat, and made our way back to our hotel room, ready for the following day to commence. But I am going to finish off this video right here, and as you've come to expect, I am going to finish it off by reviewing some of the memories which I've taken over the past 24 hours in the form of photographs. So whilst you're enjoying those, that's where I'm going to wrap things up. And as always, if you would like to continue following us along our holiday adventure, by all means hit that subscribe button so you don't get to miss out on any future videos that I post. So therefore, I'm going to leave it right there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again tomorrow.